how to build a rack case, measure, 3D design, research, purchase parts, slap it together, and it's wrong dimensions, wallow in misery, adjust dimensions to fit, and bing bang boom, you've got a 19-inch audio gear rack case. Chapter 0, the introduction. Hello and welcome, I am Jacob, I'm a musician, and I do lots of creative stuff. In this video I'm going to show you the process I went through to create my very own 19-inch rack case for some outboard audio gear that I have. This is a goal I've been working towards for a long time, as I've always wanted to own my own rack mount gear to aid me in my music production. Here is what is currently in my audio rack. My first rack mount interface, the Tascam US1200. I think I got it for like 250 bucks, or it could have been 150 bucks a while ago on eBay back in the day. It's over a decade ago now, I think. They don't make drivers for it anymore for the latest Mac computers. So I have an old Mac laptop that I use with it that I will never update, just in case I need to use this interface in the future. It's a great backup to have. Additionally, I have two newer Tascam US 16x8 interfaces, one for the studio and one for my room for mixing and other projects. And last but not least, I have a 1073 Mic Pre clone from a company called Alcatron. It's the Alcatron MP73EQ-V2. Gonna make a video at some point exploring that a bit more, as I've only found a few videos on this preamp on YouTube. Things and the stuff, maybe. I also have a good amount of room for expansion, as I want to add a multi-output headphone mixer at some point, as well as another Mic Pre or two, potentially. Let's go back in time to the year 2024 when I built the case originally. Chapter 1, the beginning. Where did I get the wood from? I got it from Bunnings. This is like the Home Depot or Lowe's of Australia. Started by measuring out the sheets to the correct dimensions, or what I thought were the correct dimensions. Then it was time to start cutting the wood pieces to size. A little help from my dad to hold stuff. 2 sets of hands made the work easier for this project. We like to do woodworking projects together when we have the free time. Purchased 2 sheets of this pre-stained and patterned board from Bunnings. These were the sheets I got. Future Jacob. The measurements of my first cuts ended up being a little bit off between the first 2 sections, as the saw I used cuts a little weird, so I had to sand and plane the pieces to the same width. I also did the same with the smaller end pieces, so everything was as square as possible. It was then time to start assembling. When I was screwing the pieces together initially, some of the glue joints split in the original wood slab that I purchased, so the outside is a little rough around the edges. Assembling the rack case went pretty smoothly initially and went together as I envisioned. I added some small little L brackets to support the wood and add extra strength to the inside of the case. Chapter 2, the third act low point. And so begins the third act low point, as any good story needs a low point to bounce back from. My measurements were off. Can't remember how or why, as it was 2 and a bit years ago, but the case was a little too small width-wise. This would have prevented me from adding the rack case rail to mount all the gear, as it would have been too small. It was time to sit and think about what I could do to fix it. I'm glad I had purchased 2 of the wood boards, as I had just enough to make a slightly wider top piece and bottom piece, which would ensure that the rails would fit and the rack mount gear would also fit. A little brainstorming with Dad and we fixed it, remounting the case together just in time before the sun went down. Chapter 3, the final assembly. Day 2, it's time to finish off the case and mount the rack units into it. But first we have to put the rails on. Now I had the opposite problem. We had made the case a little too wide now. But this is an easy fix with a couple of little shims to space out the hardware. I mounted the rails with the shims and everything worked out nicely. Chapter 4, the end. I've been using this case for 2 years now as of writing this. I haven't had any problems with it. No parts have come loose. Nothing has fallen apart. It can be a bit heavy and awkward to move around, but it has made it so easy to move all my outboard gear around and store it all in one safe space / case. A case space that is safe. Would I make any changes? Not too many changes, other than maybe adding some latches and some doors to protect the gear if I ever needed to take it on location somewhere, as well as adding some wheels with some lockers if I ever moved into a larger space.
I can't wink apparently.
That's okay. It says winks at camera. It's a great simple design, and I could make another one the same size that I could sit on top for expansion. That is a project and an idea for another time. Thanks for watching. If possible, please do the things and the stuff. You know what that is. Future Jacob will put it on screen. See you later. Stop. Oh shit. Stop.